Graded stakes racing continues, and this time we go to the Big A Aqueduct for the Grade One Cigar Mile. It's the last Grade One of 2020 in New York, and it drew a pretty good field. One of the cautionary tales of these Grade Ones late in the year, sometimes the A crop of horses have either starting to get ready for the Pegasus Stakes, or they've retired after the Breeders' Cup. So we didn't get exactly the A team here, but we do have a couple of lightly raced horses that if they were to pop a 105 to 107 Beyer speed figure in a race like this, they could potentially come back in 2021. Let's start at the rail, and Performer is the morning line favorite coming into this race. And he has worked out steadily since his comeback win on October 17th. Performer with a lifetime record, 6 starts, 5 wins. Now, the big drawback for Performer is he's only had 1 race this year, and there's a reason for that. He was scheduled to come back in June, a little bit before the Met Mile, and he kind of stubbed his toe, literally. And so he had to miss that race, and they gave him some time off. So his recent work tab seems to be in good form, but he is being asked to face a little bit better horses than he's ever faced before, and he is going to be a short price. Mind Control doesn't have the best form coming in right now. Back-to-back races that have disappointed. The plus side is he's 4 for 5 at Aqueduct, and I'm not sure a mile's his best distance. I think 7 furlongs is his best distance, but he does have some Grade One form. John Velasquez rides, but he is coming off 3 speed figures that are definitely lower than what I'm projecting to run and win in this race. I'm not going to be using Mind Control in these tickets, but if you want to make the case that he can go back to his 97 or maybe his 103 Brisnet speed figure from last year, that could be the best case scenario, but I just think he's off form right now, and Mind Control could be a little bit of an underlay because people may be playing that record at Aqueduct. Snapper Sinclair kind of intrigues me a little bit. He is going to be a long shot on the board. Steve Asmussen trains, and City Zips do good at a mile. Snapper Sinclair has some competitive Brisnet speed figures that put him right in the mix. You got to go back to Oaklawn Park in the spring. He had a 99. He also had a 99 at Kentucky Downs. That was on the turf. 3 straight turf races. Now he goes back to the dirt, and that's really where he does his best running. The downside, he's got a ship, and he's never raced in New York or at the Big A, but he does get Manny Franco, and you will get a 10-to-1 price on Snapper Sinclair. Firenze Fire comes out of the Breeders' Cup, and with that, I think he's going to have some high expectations, probably some lower odds. He's never really been a strong miler, but he is 2 for 5 at Aqueduct, and 2 back, he faced a weaker field, a small field, a 5-horse field in a Grade 2, and just class-wise, he got by with ability there. But I'm not sure he can go a mile in a Grade One facing other good horses, especially your Performers and your Snapper Sinclairs, who have proven they're good at the 1 mile distance. If you want an 8-to-1 shot with a chip and a chair, then you might like Mr. Buff. Mr. Buff, 15 for 40 lifetime, 8 for 13 at Aqueduct, and he's coming off a career-topping Beyer speed figure the last time out in the Empire Classic. Now here's a perfect example of a horse that dominates New York breds, but when he gets an open company, he kind of just fades back. He faded back last year in the Clark. He faded back 12 lengths back in the Suburban. They did rest him up. He does have a good string of works, and I think he's one of the few horses that truly likes the 1 mile distance. And if he can not get a lot of pressure on the front end, if he's able to get that to average fractions, I think Mr. Buff could show some muscle here in the lane, especially at that 9-to-1 price for this 6-year-old with an 8 for 13 record at Aqueduct. King Guillermo may be the one who is overbet in this spot. I am against King Guillermo. He's had physical issues. He hasn't looked right in some of his workouts. He had to pass on the Kentucky Derby. Suspensory injury knocked him out of the Preakness, and it's been a long time since May since he's ran. Now, they did get him ready for off the layoff last year at Tampa, but I just think he's going to be too short of a price. Jose Ortiz is a good rider. His record at Aqueduct, this will be his first trip to the Big Apple. I just don't want to accept too low of a price on King Guillermo. Majestic Dunhill won 2 races back at 7 furlongs. His best distance has always been a 7 furlong specialist. Almost half his lifetime races are at that distance. He's 0 for 1 at Aqueduct, 5 for 22 lifetime. He's not exactly a win machine, but he does have a race if you go all the way back to last year at Laurel and Gulfstream Park, where he kind of fits in the mix. I've always liked him as a late running sprinter. It seems like at a mile, he kind of just gets his tactical speed, gets him into the race too soon. Maybe Dylan Davis can try to bring him back. A new rider this time who hasn't ridden him in the last 10 races. So Dylan Davis, if they lay back and try to make one run, that could be the best approach for Majestic Dunhill. True Timber exits a tough race a couple of races back at the Vogsburg. His speed was just not too much that day for Renze Fire, but he has run in the Cigar Mile. He does well at the mile distance, and at Aqueduct he does have a win, 2 seconds and 2/3. His form overall right now isn't the best, but he's had some kind of hidden trips in the last couple of races. I thought there was quite a lot of speed in the Lafayette Stakes the last time out at Keeneland. I think there's less pace pressure, and True Timber sitting on the outside could be sitting either on the lead at the 6 mile mark or pace pressing with not a lot of other speed in this race. True Timber intrigues at a little bit of a price. Bon Raison is a fun name to say. He likes Aqueduct, 3 for 13, and Calumet Farm, they bought him back off the claim as they owned him earlier in his career. He's a veteran like some of the top New York breds have done this summer. You've got Bon Raison, and you've also got Mr. Buff in this race. Bon Raison, 11 for 44. You know, he can pop a 92 or a 99 or a 100 Brisnet speed figure every now and then. His best races are, seems like when he's got a class edge, which I don't think he really has in this race. He's also had some good races at 7 furlongs, so I'm not sure where he fits in this spot. He's on the outside, but I like True Timber a little bit better of the 2 Calumet runners, and I'd want at least 15 to 1 on a horse like Bon Raison on the win end. I don't think he's a horse that you can use in your pick 3s and doubles, but you might want to throw him in an exacta or trifecta. So the way I see this race playing out is there's a lot of speed in this race at that 6 mile mark, but I think the early fractions are going to be a little bit on the slow side. If I had to project a race pace, I would say maybe average, or average depending on if they want to, if somebody busts open a good race. The pace profile, the race profile is going to favor probably Performer, but I do question his only 1 race this year. And then you've got the 2 long shots, Mr. Buff, who could be on an uncontested lead, and Snapper Sinclair, who has some hidden speed figures in this race. I'm going to go with Mr. Buff and Snapper Sinclair in the 2020 Grade 1 Cigar Mile. Who do you like in the Cigar Mile? Leave a comment, share this horse racing videos, and remember, hit subscribe and ring that bell for notifications as we continue on with our graded stakes previews.